But you know what journey I am like excited about, and if it had to be, this is the best thing the CW has ever done, which it's not, but I really do enjoy Nancy Drew. And if you were to like get my immediate feelings about Nancy Drew, like, yeah, it's the best thing CW has done.
I agree with you. I think I feel like it's the last of like that era of the CW. It's the last one that feels like the network that we knew.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels we're very much like maybe not even a new chapter, a different book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like
But
that
Nancy,
description.
yeah, but Nancy, she episode 4. What a doozy.
Emotionally, yeah. I wasn't
Mm.
expecting so much to happen for a lot of the characters emotionally, which is saying something because I have seen this episode and I've got everything that happened in it like prior to me watching it. But I know we say this every podcast, but Kennedy is so good.
Oh yeah.
She's so good.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Kennedy, if you're watching / listening, we love you.
Yes.
Retweet. Oh my goodness, the scene at the grave. What a performance. Just incredible.
It just hit it out of the park. I remember when they had the line about how she hadn't been to the graveside yet, and I was like, oh, I don't remember how long it's been, but it's been a while since her mom passed. Has it been a year? I want to say it's almost been a year. And she hadn't been. I was like, oh, this is gonna pull up the heartstrings. And then when you have that moment with her dad, who she's still not like all the way on the right terms with, but their discussion, it took me out in the best possible way. It's just exactly what Nancy needed to experience before then talking to her mom.
And it's good to see that he's kind of trying a little bit more to be, because I know we've been, at least I have been kind of like raising my eyebrows at this man. Like, I don't believe a word he says. And then he, at that press conference with Ryan Hudson, he kind of like walks back on defending the family and was kind of like, JK, I think the results of the autopsy, was it autopsy, were inconclusive. And that's kind of what Nancy needed to feel like he believed in her. So we're getting those like little moments where he's taking her side on some things, which she needs. That's basically what she's been telling him, like, I just need you to be here for me. And he's kind of chosen everything but her, because he's in fight or flight survival mode too, I would assume.
Yeah, and I feel like on that note, I think this episode's had the most character work we've seen so far, and that could be considered quite surprising considering how the episode opened. I mean, can we talk about that supernatural intro? Like, right?
Oh my God, I had
it
it on and I was putting laundry away. I jumped out of my skin when I saw. I don't remember what part it was, but when Nancy and Bess were like walking around and like everything was like shattering, I was like, was not expecting that as I was putting my socks away.
And they had their like the moment with the video, like with the footage from the camera, where they like really got to see. And then, if I remember correctly, isn't that it's Fritz's, and then you see Lucy, right?
Yeah.
And then
her laptop.
Yeah, like it's the laptop, it's the TV. At least he's everywhere. I think at this point, by episode 4, is like, yeah, this is a supernatural show. Like these are ghosts. This is what's happening. They do it so well. It's so eerie. I love the explanation. I know we're hopping all over the place, but I love George's mom and her explanation of how like ghosts work. And then it really brings you into, it takes a really serious thing, like what Lucy's doing to the Drews, and makes it silly enough where like it feeds you the information you need without it being like too much. And I love that. And I loved when she said, and this is the most important thing, refill my glass.
I love George's reaction. She's like, oh, okay, we're done.
No, I agree. I feel like sometimes shows like that start very seriously and like pushed back against the idea of whether there is supernatural out there. Sometimes they need a character like that just to bridge the gap and like be the gate between both worlds, because like this woman fully believed in ghosts because she had her own experiences with them and she was gifted, so that made it easier for us to buy then the rest of the characters suddenly believing and buying into it as well. But I really like Nancy's explanation for why she refused to believe in ghosts, and it was that she was heartbroken that her mother never came to her. And why didn't you come for me, is what she said to her at the grave. And I just, that really hit me, because the show, Nancy's been very conflicting kind of character, in that yes, she's the protagonist, and yes, you root for her, but she's obviously had some qualities, and that she's quick to judge people, and there's a lot of unresolved conflict between her and her father. And I feel like that one explanation, which was, let's be honest, on paper, an explanation as to why ghosts exist in this world and how we can buy into it. I just thought that explanation for such a supernatural thing was so grounded and so real. And obviously Kennedy's performance as well was just out of this world, but just that really resonated with me. I thought that was really, really, really nice, and a really authentic way to open the doors to the supernatural world going forward.
And it ties into her grief, which she's really just like pushed all the way down and not really expressed too much, and it's something that she needed to let out. So it was really a great way to tie in like the supernatural with like Nancy finally breaking herself open and communicating with that grief that she's kind of ignored for survival.
I think, and this is going to be a weird comment, because everybody's human, but it just they really write the characters with a lot of humanity. Like there's a lot of acknowledgement of mistakes and what you can do better, and how you don't always have the answers. I loved the part when she tells her dad he made the mistake of not telling her, right? But he was trying to honor what his wife asked him to do. But it put Nancy in a situation where she is dancing under the fairy lights at school, and her mom is passing. And so there was no good choice for him. Do you go with what her mom wanted, or did you respect that your child would have wanted to be there? It was a lot in such short scenes, so impactful. And I love that this show does take, we pause with the mystery enough to let them delve into their vulnerability, let them acknowledge the mistakes they've made, or that was it a mistake or was it a choice? I had a hard choice to make, and I made this choice based on what your mom asked me to do. And can you accept that? Can you not accept that? Or maybe don't even accept it. It's just what happened. So we have to move forward.
That dynamic is one of the most interesting on the show. I know we don't know an awful lot about her father yet. And even now that he's done the right thing and pushing back against the Hudsons, there's still that mystery as in why did he have the bloody dress in his attic? There's still an awful lot of unresolved questions about that, and I'm sure we'll find it out as we go on. But just the dynamic between him and Nancy, there is so much conflict, but also heartache. And this episode, you really saw that Nancy's not particularly. It's not just against him. Yes, he's done an awful lot in these last 3 episodes to come into direct conflict with her, but it's deeper. It goes deeper than that. She finds it hard to forgive him because he didn't tell her the truth about her mom. But at the same time, you can also understand his perspective. As you said, Sabrina, he was put in an awful, impossible predicament at that time. But yet, on the other hand, you can also totally understand why Nancy feels the way that she does. I just feel like in the show, just mired in such supernatural depths from start through finish. That's very real. And that was my favorite part of the episode. That scene between the two of them was magnificent.
In this episode too, for me, had a lot of fun and lighthearted moments too, to balance it out. Nothing was forced. It all came up naturally to me. Tiffany's sister coming in and just being way over the top with her sunglasses and her Carly Rae Jepsen 2011 bangs. She gives Ace the fish record in a box of Gushers, which tells us a lot about Ace. Him and those puppy dog eyes, just he's a little kid with his Gushers. It was really funny. And even George's mom too. I thought there was a lot of fun moments that they're not forced. I think we talked separately about some of these superhero movies that try to force in humor in the dialogue. And it's this just comes up very naturally for this show. It's not usually Nancy that gets the comic relief, but it happens around her to balance it out. But she had it in her home with Bess. I think Bess is really a funny character, whether she intends to be funny or not. When they're yelling at her about stealing the ring, and she's like, I like shiny things.
I'm wow, that's the story you're going for.
She's like, they call me, and I was like, oh.
And it's the funny thing is they're I don't know if we believe her. And it's like, she's so genuine. Like that part of her is so, she may be lying to them about who she is, but like that's genuinely who she, like she would, why would she, that's who she is. She loves diamond rings. And she's, of course, if she sees one, she's going to pick it up. It was just a really funny moment to me. But we did get a lot of answers about Bess, which I
We did.
appreciated.
I like that this episode was, of course, it put we learned more about the two friends together in this episode. I mean, Bess and Ace. I like that their storylines, though they didn't necessarily, what am I looking for? They didn't necessarily connect, but we did get both of their reveals. I felt bad for Bess. I mean, I was already feeling bad for her because she was living out of her RV, and you could tell like something wasn't right there. But then learning about how she grew up and why she came to the States, and that accent switch to in the middle of the of her discussing, I was like, yes, perfection. Like y'all know what you're doing out here. And
Nancy didn't even flinch either.
No, she didn't. Nancy just rolled with it because she's Nancy Drew, and like, of course, I already figured out most things.
In her head, she was like,
accent.
Check.
Yes. I really want to see, I want to see Bess interact with the Marvins. Like it's not really important to me whether or not she is a part of that family. It's important to me that she gets the answers to that and how it's done. And please go talk to the woman you think is your grandma. I'm assuming she thinks that's her grandmother. I would love to see how that conversation goes.
Can I just say too that I really appreciated the slow burn reveal for Bess, because like since the pilot we've known like something's not right here. Like she's living in a van, she stole the ring, a whole mess of stuff, and we're just like, what's going on there? And like episode by episode we kind of like get to like her, but we're kind of like, something's still not right. And instead of this whole reveal of her like her upbringing and her lying being just absolutely smushed into the pilot like so many shows do, they hit you over the head with the exposition, we're allowed to have this trickle out slowly but not feel like we missed out on anything.
Yeah, because the pilot episode and the second episode ended with all those like secret reveals that everyone wasn't being honest about who they are. So throwing Bess in direct line off the is she a murderer mystery ended up producing some fruitful results, because they did give us the answers, some of the answers we were looking for about her. And I think all in all, that's helped make her a more well-rounded character, because you could see she was putting on the accent and she was trying to be someone she wasn't or someone she longed to be. And I think that scene outside Mrs. Hudson's memorial between Nancy and Bess, where they had the argument and the accent switch and all of that, that was again another really powerful scene. And I think that was the one. It was interesting to see a character as polite, because she's always been so nice to Nancy, as and a character as polite as Bess shoot down Nancy and give her a dose of this is how it is, because that made Nancy realize, hold on, I have my own unresolved conflict and I shouldn't have been so hard on her. And Nancy was very hard for Bess in that episode right out of the gate, as soon as she figured out that she'd stolen the ring. So that was I just thought that was a really nice dynamic throughout the whole episode. And I think it's ended up turning Bess into one of my favorite characters, because there's so much there, and you can't help but root for her, especially now knowing what we know. And can I just say, the Street Clevs, last week I commented about how Nancy, 3 episodes in, she keeps getting caught. Well, she's now 0-4. 4 episodes in, she got caught at Bess's locker. Like, Nancy, you've got to get better at this, girl.
I'm going to watch the next episode and she's going to get caught again. I think it's just a part of her character. Maybe it's a season 1 thing. We're working up to get back to our levels.
She needs to stay humble.
Yeah.
She needs these little moments.
Well, every episode they give one to her. She's like, oh, well. Oh, and then even the plan fell through today, or not today, in the episode. Because, with the grief and not realizing how impactful Tiffany's burial was going to be, she kind of left George out there. And perhaps if Nancy had been around, George would have remembered the mirror. Because when she put when she put the ring back on Tiffany's finger, I said, George, I don't see a mirror in
I know, I was like, the mirror, stop closing it. Open the casket again.
And I love that we get what happens immediately at the end of the episode. By the way, great ending. There's a wonderful ending to that episode.
Another like terrifying moment of George getting possessed and then just like collapsing.
And then the voice, like
Yeah.
the voiceover, and I love the shot that they had. It's just her and them surrounding with the claw, and she's on the ground, like Tiffany was on the ground.
I'm glad you brought up shots, because there were two specific shots in this episode that had me thinking, and not to get too like
Ooh.
film class on you, but when Nancy was apologizing to Bess, there was one shot, one singular shot where we see Nancy from above. We're looking down on her, and like that kind of shot is meant to like express vulnerability, and that's exactly what we got in that one scene, that one clip where she's apologizing, because after that they cut to Bess and they cut back to Nancy, and we're looking at her like normally, but we were looking at her from Bess's eye level, and I thought that was they use the camera a lot in the show, whereas some other shows, I think like Riverdale does a lot of interesting cinematography, but if that felt very intentional, it's that we see Nancy where we might have been annoyed at her that she was like overreacting and like really doubting her friend, but then we have that moment where we just like see her really vulnerably. And then I think it was at the end when George is walking in the parking lot, we see her from down below, and we're just supposed to like, that's supposed to like signify that she's powerful or something's not right, and that's exactly what was expressed in that scene. So I was like, oh my god, I learned something in film class in college.
No, I love that. I would always love to go to film studies class with you, Reed, like in the middle of the pod, because it does add an element to like what we're talking about. One of the things that Nancy Drew does it really well is they use all forms of storytelling, from the script to the shots, to the dialogue delivery, the choices that they make. It all paints a picture. I mean, since we're on shots, like when we're first introduced to Tiffany's sister, and it's that they mix the humor with giving you, allowing you to see who she is as a person. Nancy's just getting the newspaper, and here comes Miss Ma'am and snatches it right out of her hand, and then she walks away. And so you get Nancy's reaction, and then you get her walking away. And I'm just like, that was a wonderful way to tell us who this woman is, because immediately it's like she does what she wants, and she doesn't let anyone get in her way, and she will screw people over. Like that just seemed like it's a part of her character. I don't know what's gonna happen with her playing that tape like that at the funeral. We shall see.
Yeah, that was daring. That was a dynasty move if I've ever seen one. Should we do a quick ship watch though? How are you feeling with episode 4, Sabrina? I know you're in the trenches with Nick and Nancy, but there wasn't a lot of like movement, right?
No, but there's an ace shot. It's in the funeral. It pans from we're on Nancy. It pans up straight to Ace for no reason. It just like you're looking on her face. Someone said, I think Bess is one of the times Bess is talking to her, and I wish I would have paid attention to what the dialogue was, but it then goes straight to Ace, and I was like, y'all, like if how storytelling works is, are you telling us something?
Probably, because the direction is like so intentional in the show. So I don't know. I didn't pick up on that one, but I just thought I'd throw out a ship watch real quick.
Yeah, I don't think, is Nick really in this one other than he's setting up his camera, and that's about
with
it.
The safe and everything.
Yeah.
There was no real like big relationship moments. That wasn't the purpose of the episode, but
no, but we did get a relationship reveal between Ace and Tiffany's sister, which I was like, okay, we'll bide our time. I know this is just for plot, but I am interested to see who he is around her and what she knows, because clearly she knows more than our Drew crew about him.
Oh, about Ace, I loved the scene where he pretended to be sick and George was like, I could die, you need to leave. And he's like, and he was just like, right on, and left.
Yes. And then he still tries to keep up the facade by the lockers when Bess is right there, and he hacks a lung up, and she just
freaks her out.
Okay. Like, I don't. Okay. Oh, I love him.
I know. I want to see his vinyl collection now. Since he got a vinyl record, we have to see one. Like, what does Ace's place look like?
Well,
no one sent us photos.
It was fish, right? So that's tells us what kind of music he likes.
Yeah. So we're at rock. We're like chill rock though.
Like old
So
school.
now we're like, I'm sure there are like Ace playlists on by the Nancy Drew fans. So if anyone has any Ace playlist, not Ace, sorry, Ace playlists, send them our way. I would love to listen to what they think is on his Spotify.
Yeah, I'll get some gummies and listen to Ace's playlist.
Exactly.